¿A dónde está papi? 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 ¿A dónde está papi?
Welcome to the Wednesday stream. I hope everyone's having an awesome Wednesday. Welcome, everybody. Derry Bennett, elections in 2 months. Like local elections. Alio has it going. Michael Hassler, A Bond. Another day we can still breathe fresh air. True. Well, in certain areas that may not have been the case. Breaking: Fulton County District Attorney Fani Willis will drop a huge bombshell in the Georgia case against Trump and his cronies and reveal that the MAGA lawyer Lynn Wood has turned witness for the state. Oh. Well, that's I wonder what they I wonder what they got on Lynn Wood. This is something straight out of a mob movie. In the end, criminals always turn on the boss to save their own skin. The huge revelation came in a new court filing. I mean, maybe, or maybe, yeah, maybe Lynn Wood realized that he might be next. Maybe Lynn Wood realized he might be next, so he preemptively opted to cooperate. So we'll see. We'll see what that even means for the case, or if he's even needed. But hey, I mean, I don't know. Alio with the 12 biddies kicking things off. Thank you. I appreciate it. Down goes Trump. Maybe. Yeah, maybe. I have no idea what that's going to mean for the case. But I don't know, like, if he was... I don't know if he was going to be indicted or not, but who knows. Bipedal Meatbag, how's it going? I'll celebrate when he's in the orange jumpsuit. Yes, as opposed to just being orange, right? All right. Sharpie Diesel. Is Trump going to badmouth Lynn Wood? Maybe. I don't know. But if he's a witness, if he's an official witness for the state, then that would be witness intimidation, right? I guess we'll see. Is this something that just happened recently? I have not watched MSNBC today about Lynn Wood. Yeah, I mean, well, it's not just on MSNBC. Trump just admitted to everything the other day on MSNBC. Not sure what else we're waiting for. Oh, the interview where he was basically like, yeah, everything that happened was because like I decided that that's what I was going to believe. Or something to the effect of like, I made that decision despite everybody around me telling me no, and then I just decided to listen to the yes men and surrounded myself with yes men. So another way of putting it is like, all this is my responsibility. I'm responsible for all this. Christmas, that's my standard answer. I'm waiting for anything. Whenever I'm waiting for anything. Maybe. Maybe we'll get a Christmas surprise. Honestly, like, as these trials start to kick off in October, that's going to be a pretty good indicator of what we're looking at. All right, folks, we got some stuff to go through. Trump dressed as Santa, saying Lynn made me do it. No, he very explicitly said that it's all him. He very explicitly said that all of this is his doing. All right, let's get this. Let's get the show started. We have a lot of we have several things to go through, and very limited time. Let's do it. All right, so I was adjusting my volume up while you weren't talking. Oh no. Oh no, no, no. How's it going? Howdy. Are you okay? Are your ears okay? So this is the image that Trump just retruthed. I was seeing if he posted anything about Lynn Wood. But yeah, this is pretty disgusting. More wildlife? No, he's talking about killing people. He's talking about killing people. So no, it's disgusting. This is actually disgusting. So I came across this while trying to see if he was making any comments on the Lynn Wood situation. Yeah. A pretty disgusting human being, honestly. Yeah, inhumane, because he definitely does not care. And is literally posting like memes making light of the fact that if he had the opportunity, he thinks that he thinks that this is funny. And the punchline here would be that people would be dead because they would be eaten by alligators. That's the punchline. So yeah, if you agree with this, it's pretty disgusting. I gotta say, pretty disgusting. Anyways, yeah. So no comment on Lynn Wood. Trump forgets what happened to Captain Hook. Right wingers tend to think that shit's funny. Yeah, because like their sense of humor is like, oh yeah, like the people that I'm bigoted against, like whenever they're punching down, that's the punchline. The punchline isn't up, it's always down. I mean that's usually how it tends to go with these people. So after like going through a bunch of like random videos that he keeps posting, yeah, I have no idea. I don't think he's been made aware, or maybe he hasn't commented. All right. Don Rudy for prison 2024. I mean, it may very well be the case. Maybe. Depending on when all of this is said and done, that may very well end up being a possibility. Who knows?
Honorable Representatives, your children and grandchildren will proudly tell their friends that their parent or grandparent helped to pass
The heck? Hey. Oh, sorry guys. As long as Rudy gets his drinks on the hour.
this law to protect their innocence. Honorable Senators, please protect our students and teachers from being forced to live in an alternative universe created by cultural confusion and adolescent fantasies.
Yikes, another case of every accusation is just a confession. I mean, like, at this point, there won't be a next generation because we have to plan it up. I mean, not yet. Not quite. It always ends up being the case with like these type of people, with all these like conservatives. Always it ends up being the case. Every accusation is just a confession. Always with these people. I mean, like it's such a 1-to-1 that you can almost guarantee that if anybody's talking about like the whole like groomer LGBT panic or whatever, you can almost be certain that they are either a groomer themselves or they stand by groomers. I mean, Republicans are losers, so yeah, true.
You just heard from Louisiana pastor turned politician John Raymond, who is running to represent District 104 of Louisiana. And the clips that you just watched.
Yeah, Republicans generally are groomers. Yes, they tend to fall into that category, especially the ones who are very, very, very adamant about like the whole like anti-groomer. Well, it's just a trope to be bigoted. But yeah, usually those kind of people end up being the groomers. That's just kind of how it goes. Fahim, welcome.
Watched were featured proudly on his campaign website. The first video was a testimony that he gave.
I mean, evangelicals, yeah. The evangelicals too.
In support of a bill to ban LGBTQ plus books from school libraries under the pretense of quote-unquote protecting the innocence of children. And the second was a testimony that he gave in support of a bill that would mandate the dead naming of trans people in order to, again, protect children. And there's many more videos of him testifying in support of his state GOP's draconian theocratic policies, all in an effort to quote-unquote protect children. So you're probably sensing a little bit of a theme here, right? This issue is very close to his heart, apparently, as a parent and headmaster of a Christian academy. Now, to be fair, there's more to John than just wanting to protect children from the LGBTQ plus boogeyman. He also owns a Christian radio station and has produced what he calls music videos, which I would highly encourage you to check out, by the way. And on top of that, he was the first castaway voted out of Survivor Thailand back in 2002. But the main takeaway that I want you to have...
What? I didn't know that. Damn.
About John, it's that he really, 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 really cares about protecting kids. That's not me editorializing. That's basically his mission. That's what he focuses primarily on with regards to his political activism. The problem is that kids don't need to be protected from LGBTQ plus people. They need to be protected from him, because he's demonstrated multiple times that he literally poses a danger to children, considering the fact that he's been charged with 4 counts of criminal cruelty towards juveniles. As LGBTQ Nation explains, he was arrested last year after he allegedly punished 3 students by taping their mouths shut. According to NOLA.com, Raymond wrapped packing tape around 3 13-year-olds' heads for talking excessively in class. The students were sent back to class, where another administrator who felt uncomfortable with the situation removed the tape. The students reportedly had trouble breathing and said that removing the tape was painful. Raymond turned himself into police after they obtained a warrant for his arrest and was charged with 3 counts of cruelty to juveniles. In a statement, Raymond accused students of quote-unquote bullying a teacher and said that all 3 were given the choice to either have their mouths taped shut or have him call their parents and be suspended. He denied that the tape was wrapped around their heads and said that it was removed within 10 minutes after the school's principal expressed concern. Raymond was arrested again in May of 2022, this time for allegedly holding a 4-year-old boy upside down by the ankles. Raymond was accused of whipping the child's buttocks, and in a separate incident, he was accused of covering the boy's mouth and nose with his hand to stop a tantrum, according to the Lafayette Daily Advertiser. Witnesses said the boy could not breathe and went limp, remaining out of it and lethargic. So we're not talking about a one-off situation. He can't say, look, I lost my temper, I had a lapse in judgment, and I overreacted, because that would be bad in and of itself. itself, right? But we are talking about an alleged serial child abuser here who poses a real danger to children that he's around seemingly all the time, given that he is the headmaster of a Christian academy.
Yep. Never fails with these people. Never fails.
In May, he told USA Today that he's completely innocent and called the allegations preposterous, but at the same time, in April, he released a statement after the story broke, admitting that he taped the boy's mouth shut, but it was only for 10 minutes. Like, we saw that in the article. But at the same time,
I mean, like, that's assault, dude, isn't it? Or battery, I should say. Isn't that, like, battery? I mean, it sounds like that's battery to me. Unlawful application of force directly or indirectly upon another person or their belongings, causing bodily injury or offensive contact. I mean, yeah, I think that might fit the bill.
we know that he's also lying about that because a local CBS affiliate stated that it was about 45 minutes.
The arrest by Slidell police Thursday came after a complaint about March 18th school discipline he administered.
I'm wondering if the parents knew. I mean, I hope they were notified by the principal, right? Like the administrator, said that they are uncomfortable and removed the tape. So I'm wondering, or I'm hoping that they alerted the parents, right? Because I mean, if that was my child, I would want to know. And I would want that. I would want criminal charges. I would want criminal charges. Assault and battery. Well, assault is different. Assault is different, but I think battery is what fits the bill here.
That was investigated by the Office of Children and Family Services. The police department said another administrator at the school had to cut the tape wrapped around the kids' heads after 45 minutes when they had trouble breathing.
So the three boys allegedly had tape over their mouths for 45 minutes, not 10 minutes. And even if it were just 10 minutes, that's...
What state is this? Louisiana. If they did perhaps another child abuse case, if complicit, yeah, I mean, it seems like this is not a one-off. It seems like a pattern of behavior that this person is exhibiting. So, yeah. They likely allow child beatings in school still. Eesh. Like many states. I don't know. But some parents are okay with this authoritarian insanity. Yeah, like I personally, if I had a child and I found out about this, yeah, there's a whole kind of a whole lot of hell coming through that door if I ever found out anything like that happened to my child. Like, first of all, like, excuse me, who are you again? Not the parent of my child? Okay. Yeah, corporal punishment. Yeah, I don't know if that's legal in Louisiana or not. But if so, like, I don't know. I wouldn't care, to be honest. How about corporal punishment on the teacher that put hands on my kid? Is that legal?
Still is completely unacceptable. But he put tapes over their heads, allegedly, sent them back to class, and they were probably humiliated. On top of that, they couldn't breathe, according to them. So this is serious. This is unacceptable. But the allegations are preposterous, even though, yeah, I kind of put the tape on their heads. It was only for 10 minutes, though. Actually, I didn't put it over their heads. I put it over their mouths. I mean, look, he's full of shit. I don't believe him. I believe that he did do these things, and I think that most people in the community do as well. But when you consider...
The question is, like, what are you going to do about it, right? Parents have to give permission, though? Gotcha. Oh, okay, so they have to... Okay, yeah, definitely not something that I would be okay. Yeah, if you want to send links, just send it to me in whispers. Just send it to me in whispers. Gata naranja. I'd probably go to jail if he did that to my kid. True.
That allegation from the 3 boys, along with the other allegations that we heard of, right? Physically assaulting these children. He'd go to jail if he did that to an adult, but he spanked them. He held a 4-year-old upside down, allegedly, by the ankles and nearly suffocated a kid to stop a tantrum. I mean, it's evident that this man is a clear danger to children and should not be around any child. But yet, this man wants you to believe that he cares about protecting children, and it's his number one issue. Yeah, kids don't need to be protected from LGBTQ plus people, John. They need to be protected from abusers like you, alleged abusers, I should say. So, once again, we have another instance where an accusation from a Republican politician turns out to be a confession. Because as we all know, every accusation is a confession. Everything that they say about other groups of people.
Yeah, like I love how I love how this catchphrase is like, catching, and a lot of like creators are using that, because it, just to be clear, I did not make that, but I'm glad that it's becoming more and more common. So yeah, thank you, Gata Naranja. There's a the map here, which I think Louisiana falls under the yellow one. In which case it's technically legal. But yeah. It's so true, though. Yeah, 100%. Like it's become so common, and like it's become so proven time and time again that, like I said, you could literally, with very, very, being very accurate, just kind of assume that whenever you encounter these people, like you can just assume that these people are either groomers or defenders of groomers, or whatever it is that they're so like adamantly against. You can assume very reasonably that they're the ones who are, they're the ones who are the abuser in this case. They're the ones who are the groomers. They're the ones who end up being the pedos. It just keeps happening. It just keeps happening. More likely than not, yes, more likely than not, with a very high degree of certainty. Given like how frequently this happens, and given how like just spot on this has been, it's pretty reasonable to suspect that like anybody who acts in this way is probably that,
people is usually them projecting, because they're the ones who pose the danger that they say queer people pose to children. But I mean, the hypocrisy doesn't just stop there. At the time that he was arrested and charged with child cruelty, he was also a member of the executive committee for the Louisiana Republican Party. He's well known in right-wing circles in his state. Now, he's currently running to be a state representative and was formerly officially connected to the GOP in the state. So the question is, what was their response to all of this, right? Because the bills that he testified in support of, that you watched at the...
Let me guess. Fucking crickets. Let me guess. Crickets. Nothing. Nada. Zip.
Beginning of this video, those were all pieces of legislation that the state Republican Party sponsored, meaning that they also have made protecting children from LGBTQ plus people in particular one of their main priorities. So the question is, what are they going to do? I mean, naturally, it seems like their only option is to denounce and distance themselves from this man, since he was literally charged with child cruelty. So that way, I don't know, people believe them when they say...
Oh, wait, no, they're going to double down and say that cancel culture, the radical left cancel culture strikes again. And that's pretty much their go-to. That's my guess.
They care about protecting children. But that's not what happened. They have not distanced themselves from him. In fact, the state party has endorsed his campaign. I am not making this up. At the top of his website, you can see the state party's emblem and an image that says that he was endorsed by the Louisiana Republican Party. So I just want to pause right there to take this all in. The Republican Party of Louisiana, who has dedicated a lot of time on the taxpayers' dollars, mind you, to protecting children, is choosing to endorse somebody who is charged with child cruelty. Make it make sense, because it doesn't.
It doesn't, and it doesn't have to. That's kind of par for the course, right? It doesn't make sense. It doesn't have to. It's actually better if it doesn't make sense. If that makes sense. Okay.
Now, to make matters even worse, it's not like this was the only choice and there was nobody else in the race. There was another Republican in the race that they could have endorsed instead. But they didn't do that. Even though, if you go to the opponent's website, the opponent of John Raymond, to be clear, it's one of the first things you see when you look at his issues page is that he wants to protect children. So the state party literally has another option who says clearly that I too want to protect children, presumably from the LGBTQ plus boogeyman. And the Louisiana Republican Party said, sorry, man, we're going to go with the guy who was charged with child cruelty instead. It just is so outrageous that you have to assume this is a mistake, right? Perhaps he took it upon himself to pretend like he was endorsed, and he put that on his website when they didn't actually endorse him. This wouldn't be the first time that this has happened, right? We've seen politicians in the past pretend like they were endorsed or imply heavily that they were endorsed when they didn't actually get that endorsement. So perhaps he is lying, or he assumed that they would endorse him since he has a long-time association with the party.
Hello. I'm not a Democrat, but I find it ironic that Republicans still endorse him, yet they are the same people that say you guys vote blue no matter who. Right. Right. Like, listen, to be fair, like Strataluke, to be fair, like, understand, and, you know, I've kind of hit, I kind of hit this, like, nail a couple times last, streams. But the point that I was making is that these people don't believe in anything. These conservatives don't have any actual principles. These conservatives have absolutely no principles, nothing. The only thing that they understand is power. That's it. They care about nothing. They care about nothing. Nada. A leftist smear, true. But blue no matter who is the Dems MAGA. Well, I mean, they're annoying, but I don't know. I don't know if I would go that far.
But no, that's not actually right either. The Shreveport Times reached out to the state Republican Party and asked them, did you really endorse the alleged child abuser after your whole thing has been protecting kids? And the response was, yeah. Of course we did. They explain, Louisiana Republican Party Chairman Louis Gervich confirmed in a text that the executive committee endorsed Raymond. Raymond's opponent in the race for the House District 104 seat, fellow Republican Jay Gall of Manville, said he was shocked by the endorsement. I bet. As a lifelong Republican, it's an embarrassment, said Gall, while acknowledging Raymond's right to the presumption of innocence. Quote, the party puts itself out there as a protector of children, said Gall, a former Marine and businessman who now manages his family's real estate portfolio. Quote, I can't express how disappointed I am that the Louisiana Republican Party has chosen to endorse a candidate with not one, not two, not three, but 4 criminal charges of cruelty to children. And I mean, yeah, Jay's right, but Jay, you might not have child abuse charges against you, but were you on Survivor, though? Because we kind of want to go with the guy who was on Survivor. Maybe the Louisiana Republican Party is just CBS reality show diehards. They're like, nope, that guy, he was on Survivor, so...
Or maybe they just don't believe in anything. Union reps say similar things, like what? Hey, Akrel's gone blue no matter who makes more sense now than ever. I mean, like, the way I see it is, like, I don't think that, like, I don't think that you you should bully people based on like who they plan to vote on. Instead, just kind of like front load the argument. Instead of just saying like, this is what you have to do. I mean, like, I don't know. I just think that it's a more effective way of going about it, or a more effective way of talking to people when you say things like, well, at the end of the day, it's going to come down to probably Trump and Biden, and my priorities are going to be to stop. My priorities are going to be to stop fascism. My priorities are going to be to vote against fascism. That's it. That's the only thing that vote is going to do. It's not just like a blind, like, oh, we have to vote a certain party because that's it. Or we have to vote a Democrat because that's it. No, I think it's a little more deeper than that, right? Leftists don't want to harm your children, so you're still a tool. Exactly. I think most people on the left would say lock Biden up if he did what Trump did. We wouldn't blindly support him. Correct. I wouldn't want... Can you imagine if, like, we had to find ourselves, like, if the Democratic Party actually did the things that the Republican Party has been accusing them? Like, can you imagine if it ended up being the case that, like, Biden was like shoehorning fake electors to try to win a race or whatever? It was like the story is inverted, right? Let's say, you know, we live in bizarro world, and it turns out that Biden lost the election and he tried to overturn the election by shoehorning fake Democratic electors. I don't know if I could support the Democratic Party. I really don't think I would vote for them, especially vote for Biden, if that ended up being the case, because like that's just fundamentally like that's a no-go. But my point is, like, I'm not here to tell people how to vote or whatever. But what I am saying is that I think that the threat of fascism is real. And I think that, especially knowing, with the knowledge of things like Project 2025, and what Republicans plan to do if they should find themselves winning the presidential election, I think that speaks for itself. You think we should talk? I use my fist to do that. True.
We want that clout, I guess. It's going to help us with the younger demographics, the kids who are still watching Survivor in 2023. I mean, I don't know what to say. I would say that this is extremely embarrassing, not just for the Louisiana Republican Party, but Republicans everywhere. But I mean, that point is moot because this party doesn't have the capacity to feel shame. So, of course, they're not going to be embarrassed by something that is incredibly hypocritical. Oh, and one more thing. The district leans heavily towards Republicans, and there's no incumbent, so he's probably actually going to win. Yeah. Now, John Raymond has previously stated that he doesn't actually think the charges are going to interfere with his campaign, and so far he's been proven correct. So, yeah, there you have it. This is the modern Republican Party in a nutshell. They are so concerned about protecting kids that they're going to endorse a man literally charged with 4 counts of child cruelty to demonstrate that they're really dedicated to protecting children. I mean, Jesus Christ, it feels like this is a parody, but nope, it's just the modern day Republican Party, folks.
Yeah, they literally believe in nothing. That's it. That's what it boils down to. They believe in nothing. They have no principles other than power. That's it. That's the only thing that they believe in is power. Everyone's line is different too. I used to think that I won't vote unless I like the candidate. Now I really just vote to not have a Republican in the seat. Right. Like, and like, I think that that's literally like, because also just to kind of like add to the tangent of that conversation, you're voting is by itself. Voting by itself isn't gonna like solve the world's problems, right? But I still think that if it's a tool available to you, then you should use it, right? Like, if it's there and it's between, like, trying to keep out a Republican I think I think you should use it, right? It just doesn't mean that just because you voted, then like all this, you don't have to tie yourself to the candidate or to the party, right? Voting for a specific party or candidate doesn't even have to reflect necessarily your politics. It's just a matter of like making strategic decisions based on how things are. Like, when the 2020 election happened, I didn't vote for Biden because I thought Biden was a good candidate. I didn't vote for Biden because I thought he was, because I liked him as a candidate. Does that make sense?
But we are going to be starting.
All right, switching gears just a little bit more on this, because I think this is important. A little bit more on this UAW strike. This is huge, so I think we should cover it. And I voted for a GOP senator in the early 2000s. I wouldn't do it today. Well, I mean, today is not 20 years ago. Yeah, today's not 20 years ago.
But we are going to be starting off for you today with the latest on the UAW strike, which is not only putting the squeeze on companies and workers as well who are out on the picket lines, but also the automotive suppliers across the state. We do have some news for you, though, that Stellantis has announced that more layoffs are coming to the Toledo machining plant in Perrysburg, Ohio, a transmission plant and casting plant in Kokomo, Indiana. Total of 350 workers could be laid off there. Shawn Fain also announced late yesterday, if there's not serious progress by Friday at noon, that he is going to be making an announcement on where the next walkouts will be in this process.
Burn Sharpie Diesel at the stake. It's because you love them, true. Trump and MAGA must be defeated. Fascism here, and the propaganda is too heavy. Yeah, I mean, that's basically like that's basically the line, right? That's basically the line, right? Like, I am convinced that the threat that the current Republican Party poses is real, and I'm convinced that it's here, and they're not really going to stop. They're not going to stop, and they are becoming increasingly more and more concerning, more and more dangerous, and I think that whatever it is that we need to do, whatever tools are available to us, including voting, we need to do. Period. I mean, that's just my opinion. Again, period. Full stop. My objective is to pump the brakes on, this fascism train. I mean, like that's my priority when it comes to like electoral politics.
And just to give you an idea of what the automaker's response to that is, Stellantis says they hope to have some kind of common ground by Friday. GM said they're continuing to bargain in good faith to reach an agreement as quickly as possible. Ford has just said negotiations are continuing. And as we watch this and the continued ripple effect, auto suppliers are starting to take a hit from the UAW strike. And I wanted to bring in with me now Glenn Stevens. He's the executive director of Mish Auto and the vice president of automotive and mobility initiatives at the Detroit Regional Chamber. Glenn, it's really good to see you. Thanks for joining me on this one. I wanted just to start off, if you could give us a sense of how suppliers are starting to be impacted by the strike here in day 6 and what you're hearing.
Sure, Christy, it's good to be with you. So we've been talking to suppliers about this for quite some time, and as you know, it's an extremely complex industry. They are coming off of the pandemic, the chip shortage, rising material costs, labor shortages, and everything has started to stabilize. So something like this really upsets a very complex system, and they're fragile. Financially, they're fragile.
Oh, well, maybe these greedy auto companies, maybe these greedy auto companies should have raised the pay for their workers. had a Viva Bush bumper sticker. Oh dear. The trickle down effect, yeah.
Particularly when you get into the lower tiers. So we're really concerned, and we're seeing it spread a little bit, as you just mentioned. And if it goes further, we're really concerned about the economy here in Michigan and across those communities where suppliers are.
Give us a sense, Glenn, of the numbers of the economic impact when we're dealing in the millions of dollars here in Michigan.
Give us a sense of the economic impact these CEOs' greed is now going to cause. Give us a sense of that. Give us a sense of like these CEOs collectively having like tens of billions of dollars in profits, or their companies having tens of billions of dollars in profits. Them themselves having tens of millions of dollars every year as compensation. Tell us about the economic impact their greed is currently having on the economy. Please tell us. I was too young to vote. Parental influence. Gotcha.
Right. So the industry as a whole is a $300 billion economic impact to the state on a consistent basis. I mean, that's massive. That's our largest industry. And to put it in context, in 2019,
maybe the CEOs should stop buying Starbucks every day. True. Maybe the CEOs should lay off the avocado toast in the Starbucks. Yeah, true.
General Motors strike, one company for a short period of time, not a real short period of time, but also not a long time, had a 1/4 equivalency recession in Michigan. So we really can feel it quick. And one auto job has a multiplier of between 6 to 8 different indirect jobs. So it really gets cascading through the communities quickly.
When we talk about, and you said that suppliers, of course, and everyone across the industry has been watching and waiting for this to happen, there's a lot that has to be put in place with even tier 2 and tier 3 suppliers in terms of, okay, do we ramp down production? Do we pay our employees maybe just 75% to sit out for a while? There's a lot of different scenarios that each one of these companies are trying to do to try to accommodate and see how far this is going to go.
Right, and it doesn't just impact the hourly and the plant workers. There already are companies that are laying off salaried employees at their headquarters, their R&D, their technical centers. They have to, because it's a very, very capitally intensive, cash intensive basis, and they have to conserve it. Like I said, the supply chain is very.
Yeah, I know it's incredibly fragile because, like, when CEOs miss that 40% bonus, I mean that's some. That's some very financially fragile system right there. The important part here is that we keep the CEOs our 40% raises every year. See that's what matters here. Okay, that's what matters. Whenever you see the numbers of how much that CEO made, that's what we really care about.
Fragile. So we're seeing that already. We're going to see more of that. And the other concern is it takes a lot to hang on to labor in a tight labor market. If you are going to let people go or lay people off, there's a really big concern about getting them back and having that workforce stable again in your operations.
Yeah, what are suppliers telling you in terms of trying to hang on to the talent that they've already acquired?
Well, they've done everything that they can, and I really think, and I commend the suppliers across Michigan and across the industry, they've done a lot of progressive things. I mean, there are companies that are even putting daycare systems in centers into their plants and their facilities now. I mean, Gentex over on the west side has got a really good project that they're doing with that. So they're doing everything to make the employee experience as best they can. But there's a fear that if there's a shutdown or they have to shut down and they have to lay people off, they will find other employment. And there are other jobs available in the market right now with labor being tight.
Hey, Glenn, is there something that you're looking with the work that you're doing in terms of projections? Like if this strike goes on for 6 weeks, if this strike goes on for 6 months, what are you watching now in terms of timeline that we start to get into some very, I guess, serious places?
Yeah, we really don't know, Christy. I mean, there's really no. I mean, one of the encouraging things that developed last night or yesterday was that there's a tentative settlement with Unifor and Ford in Canada. That's encouraging. But we really don't know where they're at right now. We do know that 6 weeks is not something we want to talk about, and 6 months is not even something we want to consider. The ramifications to the supply base, to the economy, would absolutely be disastrous if anything like that transpired.
Well, then the CEOs at the companies should probably negotiate. The CEOs should then probably be like, you know what? Fine. It's true that we get a huge boost. We get paid tens of millions of dollars a year. Let the workers have, their earned cut of that pie. When these auto companies are making tens of billions of dollars in profit.
And when we talk about Michigan and how much that we have invested in automotive, as we know, since the beginning of the automobile, and then looking at expanding with battery plants and looking at expanding with different kinds of suppliers and bringing businesses here to Michigan, it is that stability of, gosh, when something like this, when a strike does happen, that we do have that large investment here in Michigan.
We do. There's nothing like it in the world. You have 26 different OEMs, including the startup OEMs operating here. You have 96 of the top 100 suppliers. You have thousands of facilities across Michigan, and thousands is an accurate number. So 120 years this industry has evolved, and this industry is transitioning. So we need to make sure that the OEMs and labor forge an agreement that they remain competitive, because they have to compete with Toyota and Honda and Mercedes and Volkswagen and Hyundai, but they're also going to have to compete with Tesla more and more. And also the Chinese OEMs are really flooding the world with cheap, high-tech EVs. So what's at stake here for Michigan is immediate, but on a long-term basis, we have to compete with the world.
Absolutely, and you do make a good point about talking about some of those other manufacturers that do not have UAW represented labor, and that is a different cost on the bottom line in trying to make Stellantis and GM and Ford competitive, and really companies that are going to be successful into the future when they do carry some kind of different cost.
They do. There's a differential right now. Different numbers are bantered around, but there's a differential right now. If that gap widens, they can't compete with them. So we're really concerned about that. Does everyone feel, including the OEMs, because the OEMs have put very generous offers on the table, does everyone feel that the UAW and labor should be making more and should be able to raise that standard? No question about that. But we have to be able to compete nationally and internationally. And
okay, so wait, stop. So if you believe that the UAW and these union workers should be making more, then they're right to strike. Then they are correct. Why is this conversation never about, like, the CEOs? Like, never in any type of, like, mainstream media, never is it framed about, never is it framed in the way, in the way that this is a CEO's fault. Okay? We never ask, like, why does the CEO make so much freaking money? Like, how much of that value are they actually putting? Are they working, like, hundreds of times more than the factory worker? No. Are they producing more value? No, all the value comes from labor. If the CEO position disappeared tomorrow, the company would still be there. You could still manufacture cars.
They can't do that, and that is a threat to Michigan's industry, let alone these companies' ability to compete and to invest into the future.
All right, Glenn Stevens, the director of Mich Auto. It's so good to see you. Thanks for the perspective.
Thanks, Christy. Good to see you too.
Yo apoyo.
So frustrating. CEO pay is determined by the board. Let's interview them. Yeah. That's a great point. All right, folks, let's shift gears here. House Republicans negotiating way to avert shutdown as bipartisan group inches closer to their own plan. House Republicans continue to work behind closed doors on Capitol Hill today as they try to find a plan that they can unite behind that will keep the government funded and avert a looming government shutdown. McCarthy and his GOP leadership team has been trying to sell the House Republican Conference on unifying behind a plan to fund the government, brokered between the Freedom Caucus and the more moderate Main Street Caucus over the weekend. But that proposed legislation encountered immediately opposition from more than a dozen far-right Republican lawmakers who wanted deeper spending cuts attached. Amid that impasse, with conservatives, moderates, and the bipartisan House Problem Solvers Caucus are close to finalizing their own framework on a short-term spending bill that would fund the government for several months at current levels and include Ukraine aid and disaster assistance, according to two sources. Even with Democratic support, that plan would still likely face major challenges, not the least of which how it would get to the floor before the government runs out of money. Leaders in the group are hoping to hold a vote among their members as soon as Wednesday evening today, but there are already signs that it could face strong headwinds, not just with the Republicans, but with Democrats. Representative Pramila Jayapal, a progressive Democrat from Washington, told CNN's Manu Raju on the Inside Politics that she wants a clean, continuing resolution of funds, a sign that progressives may not back some of the border security provisions that the Problem Solvers Caucus members are eyeing. House Democrat leader Hakeem Jeffries met with the House Problem Solvers Caucus earlier this Wednesday and said afterwards that they need a bipartisan agreement in line with what was already negotiated in the debt ceiling package. We need to find a bipartisan agreement consistent with what was previously reached. Speaker McCarthy, facing intense pressure from his right flank, projected optimism that his GOP conference can work together on potential tweaks to conservative stopgap measure. I feel like we are making progress, said McCarthy, less than 2 weeks away from the September 30th funding deadline. Yeah, I mean, like, I saw on the Rational National Discord, that somebody, somebody asked if, like, what is the odds of the government shutting down? I mean, if it does, it's probably, the highest, this is the highest risk it's been, because I think that the way the House is set up now, it gives more avenues for that to become, there's more avenues for this to become a reality. So we'll see. In my opinion, I think that it's a higher chance than last time. But who knows, to be honest. Members from all wings of the Republican Party have been meeting in the House Majority Whip Tom Emmer's office to hammer out the differences that would remain in the divided conference. McCarthy said that they met late into yesterday and they are already back at it this morning. McCarthy's extremely thin margin in the chamber and Democrats so far united against the GOP proposals. Republican leadership has been negotiating to try to win enough GOP support to pass the legislation. Members already in a meeting making some progress. McCarthy told reporters, "We made some progress last night." The House Freedom Caucus chair Scott Perry, the Pennsylvania Republican, characterized discussions as very positive and said that they have both sides of the equation in the room discussing and they are working through disagreements. However, the GOP-led proposal is likely dead on arrival in the Senate, so it's unclear how the Congress avoids a shutdown. Right, like that's exactly my thoughts. There's so many avenues as to how this could go towards a government shutdown, and not only is the House Republican leadership divided, the way it's such a thin margin. But also, it has to pass the House, and then it has to pass the Senate. Yeah, so I don't know. There's a lot of points of potential failure here. I love this emote, both sides emote. McCarthy was repeatedly asked if it will be possible to bring the stopgap bill to the floor on Thursday, but he wouldn't commit and again dodged the premise of the question. McCarthy also said he's been in the same spot many times, downplaying the jam he is in. It's not September 30th and the game is not over. When pressed on his confidence level in avoiding a shutdown at this juncture, he dodged and instead making a sports reference. Did you quit before the game was over? Yet I think that this was where the most significant change happens, and I'm going to stay with it and solve the problem. McCarthy repeated his favorite line, insisting that he will never back down from a challenge no matter how messy. I wouldn't quit the first time I went to vote for Speaker, McCarthy said, in reference to how he was voted in only after 15 rounds and days of voting. The one thing if you haven't learned anything about me yet is that I will never quit. That's fine, but like you also have to make it through the Senate. We'll see. Members were advised on Tuesday to keep their schedules flexible as weekend votes were possible. Members filtering in and out of Whip Emmer's office the past 2 days are insistent that they are making progress. Representative Kelly Armstrong of North Dakota told CNN that they're getting closer, but not close yet. Representative Garrett Graves of Louisiana, who has been in the room for negotiations, echoed that scheduled change in projected Friday and Saturday work. Quote, I think we're going to be here this weekend. When pressed on what exactly it'd be up to and if they'd be able to vote by Saturday, Graves said, well, we won't be having Mardi Gras parties, indicating that they'll be voting. Well, we'll see. We'll see. And we'll also see what kind of legislation they put forth, because, like, if it's not... if it's all just like a bunch of Republican stuff, it's not going to fly in the Senate. So, yeah. All right, folks, we need to shift gears here. Again. Ray Epps, a name I suspect most people are familiar with now. A January 6th insurrectionist who was the subject of conspiracy theories pleads guilty. A man who became the target of far-right conspiracy theories after his image was added and then removed from the FBI's Capitol Violence website has pleaded guilty to a misdemeanor charge in connection with the January 6th insurrection. Look at that. Ray Epps pleaded guilty to one count of disorderly or disruptive conduct on restricted grounds at a hearing before U.S. District Chief Judge James Boasberg in Washington. Epps appeared virtually via Zoom. Epps became the target of dozens of segments by former Fox News host Tucker Carlson. Epps filed a defamation suit against the network in July. The conspiracy theory posted that a man pictured on the FBI's website was a government agent and that January 6th was a false flag encouraged by the FBI. Even now, more than 2.5 years after the Capitol insurrection, more than 100 people whose photos are featured in the FBI website have been identified but not yet arrested. Epps, according to the FBI, was not and never has been an asset of the Bureau. In an interview with the January 6th committee last year, Epps said that crazy conspiracy theories have torn apart his life. Well, you can thank people like Tucker for that. Like thousands of others, Epps was on restricted grounds at the U.S. Capitol on January 6th. Videos of Epps on the night of January 5th shows him saying that Trump supporters should go inside the Capitol, and a video on January 6th show him urging Trump supporters to go to the Capitol. Later, once the insurrection broke out, video shows Epps trying to calm tensions between police and protesters. Most of the charged January 6th defendants either entered the Capitol itself or committed violence or destruction outside, placing Epps in a small category of January 6 participants charged despite never entering the building or engaging in destructive or assaultive conduct. The maximum sentence for the charge Epps faces is 1 year in prison, 1 year of supervised release, and a fine. The sentence guidelines call for between 0 and 6 months of prison. Epps will be sentenced by Judge Boasberg on December 20th at 10 a.m. Epps and attorney have waived their in-person appearance at that hearing. Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas. All right, on to actually positive news. This is actually pretty cool. I'll call this lowercase w. December 20th. It's right. It's just perfect right before Christmas, right? Biden launches paid program for 20,000 young people to train for green jobs. The White House today announced a program that will aim to train 20,000 people for climate-focused jobs related to clean energy, land restoration, forest management, and more. The American Climate Corps is a federal effort to ensure more young people have access to skills-based training necessary for good-paying careers in clean energy and climate resilience economy. The White House said in a press release, in addition to training, the program also intends to be a pipeline for participants to get hired into green jobs. This is in Biden's first effort at building a green workforce. In 2021, he proposed spending $30 billion on the Civilian Climate Corps, which would have had more than 300,000 members as part of the Build Back Better Act, which was torpedoed by Manchin and Sinema, I believe. The framework of Biden's climate agenda, the Civilian Climate Corps appeared to be a modern version of the New Deal era Civilian Conservation Corps, a program for unmarried young men to train for jobs in public land and forest improvement. Biden's CCC, was eventually left out of the Inflation Reduction Act, the $430 billion package, and poured a record of $369 billion into climate policy initiatives, which Congress passed in August of 2022. In the meantime, some states have been starting their own programs, but the Democratic Congress members have been waiting on federal level action. This move is an executive action which won't require congressional approval. The White House didn't announce how much it was spending on the program. Today's launch comes after 51 Congress members signed a letter to Biden putting pressure on him to file an executive order to revive the Civilian Climate Corps that got left behind in the creation of the Inflation Reduction Act. We urge you to sign the executive order to establish a federal civilian climate corps so we can prepare a whole generation of workforce for good-paying, dignified union jobs and build the workforce we need for the robust green economy of tomorrow. Nice. Cool. That's actually pretty cool. You see, like, this is also, just like as a side note, this is also like indication that, like, if Biden wanted to, he can do more, right? Like, this was supposed to be a part of like the whole Build Back Better plan, and like he could have just done it with executive like action, which begs the question, like, yeah, dude, so we know you can do stuff, do more stuff. Do more good stuff, okay? That's how you win. If only he had a core for voting rights, true. It just goes to show that, like, there are more avenues that the executive can take and actually use them to do good. Let's go, Brandon. But actually, let's go, Brandon. All right, so with that, no, just let's go. True. Oh my god. Is this real? Hold on. Hold on, folks. I'm trying to find this. So I caught. Hold on. Let me put some more context. To what just came through my feed. So I saw a picture of a tweet where Jordan Peterson is angry at Sesame Street ? So I'm just trying to find where I can verify that. That tweet. But like all of it is just like transphobia, bigotry, xenophobia, and climate change denial. So it's really hard to just kind of sift through all this nonsense. Yeah, so I'm trying to go through all this, but this guy tweets so much. It's actually astonishing. I'm just humming the Jeopardy song in my head, but with cat meows. Fair enough. Yep, I actually can't find this tweet. I mean, like, I'm sure it exists. Removed, perhaps? Maybe. Maybe, but it doesn't... I don't feel like he would remove this, to be honest. Okay. I've exhaustingly went through as much of this guy's nonsense. So I guess I'll just show you the maybe he did delete it. Here, I'll just show you. Apparently Sesame Street tweeted happy birthday to Slimy, which, by the way, if you don't know who Slimy is from Sesame Street, like, Slimy's awesome, okay? No hate on Slimy. And Jordan Peterson is having a normal one, apparently attacking Slimy because Sesame Street posted happy birthday. Yeah. Yeah, this is the kind of stuff the intelligentsia of the right wing is producing right now. Yeah. A cute little worm. Yeah, it's Slimy. I bet he pays for that blue check. 100%. In an op-ed published at the Herald Sun on Wednesday, unlike Peterson and Ugly Big Worm, true. Hello, person who's had an account for 3 days. Go offline already. You suck. Damn. If only that was, if only I cared enough. In fact, I'm not, in fact, you know what? I'm gonna continue streaming. An op-ed published at the Herald Sun, a Republican consultant lamented that the values of his party have been corrupted and abandoned. Today, anger about everything immovable, thinking, rationale, and conspiracy theories, hatred of the opposition, lukewarm defense of democracy, and are considered by many Republicans as conservative standards. Or Alfredo Rodriguez possesses no vision, optimism, or ideas. It offers nothing. Well, I mean, you know, that's that's kind of where conservatism ends up being. So I don't know why this guy's surprised. And seeing as he was part of it, yeah, he's kind of part of the problem too. Hello, what's going down today? Jordan Peterson having a normal one, apparently. Apparently attacking Slimy from Sesame Street. Yeah. Slimy is adorable. Slimy is adorable. All right, folks. Enough about that. This is actually serious. An actually serious story. The U.S. book bans and attempted bans rise as efforts extend to public libraries. Yep, that's right. Pay attention, folks, because this isn't going to stop. Book bans and attempted book bans continue to hit record highs, according to the American Library Association. The efforts now extend as much to public libraries as school-based libraries. Through the first 8 months of 2023, the ALA tracked 695 challenges to library material and services, compared with 681 during the same time period last year, a 20% jump in the number of unique titles involved to 1,915. School libraries have long been the predominant target, but in 2023, reports have been near equally divided between schools and libraries open to the general public. The ALA announced on Wednesday, today. The irony is that you had some censors who said that those who didn't want books pulled from schools could just go to the public libraries. Well, now they're targeting the public libraries. So yeah, it was never about to stop. Just that, school libraries under the guise of protecting children or whatever. Said Deborah Caldwell Stone, who directs the association's Office for Intellectual Freedom. The ALA defines a challenge as formal written complaint filed with the library or school requesting that materials be removed because of content or appropriateness. In 2019, the last pre-pandemic year, the association recorded just 377 challenges involving 566 titles. The numbers fell in 2020 when many libraries were closed, but have since risen to the most in the association's 20-plus year of history of compiling data. Because the totals are based on media accounts and reports submitted by librarians, the ALA regards its numbers as snapshots, with many incidents left unrecorded. Continuing a trend over the past 2 years, the challenges are increasingly directed at multiple titles. In 2023, complaints about 100 or more works were recorded by the ALA in 11 states, compared with 6 last year and none in 2021. The most sweeping challenge often originates with conservative organizations such as Moms for Liberty, Moms Hitler Quotes for Liberty, which has organized banning efforts nationwide and called for more parental control over books available to children. There used to be roughly 1-to-1 ratio where a parent would complain about an individual book, like in the days where many were objecting to Harry Potter. Now you have people turning up at meetings and asking that 100 titles be removed. The ALA released its numbers in advance of its annual Banned Books Week, which is October 1 through 7. when libraries highlight challenged works. Earlier this year, the association issued its annual top 10 list of the most objected in 2022. Many of them featured racial and LGBTQ themes. Obviously, Maya Kobabe's Genderqueer topped the list, followed by George Johnson's All Boys Aren't Blue and the Nobel laureate Toni Morrison's The Bluest Eye. Attacks against teachers and librarians have been ongoing since in 2023. At Chapin High School in South Carolina, some students alleged a teacher made them feel ashamed to be Caucasians for assigning Ta-Nehisi's quotes Between the World and Me, an open letter to his son about police violence against black people that won the National Book Award in 2015. Why? I find this extremely alarming. It is extremely alarming. It should be ringing all the alarm bells. Get involved in your county library, folks. Yep. I love libraries. It's disturbing and heartbreaking. Our country is going down the fascism drain. Yeah, and it's real. It's here, and it's if it's not stopped, it will continue. That's the issue here. The school then removed the book from the syllabus. Like, imagine removing a book detailing an important part, an aspect of society. Because feelings, ? And how could you be made to feel ashamed to be Caucasian because you were assigned a essay or an open letter? That's kind of telling, isn't it? That's your response. And then removing that, a very, very real aspect of our country. That still persists till this day. I worked for the library director in Portland, and then in the selections office, we never pulled the book that was challenged. Nice, based. And I hope that's like a thing that continues to happen. In Fort Royale, Virginia, the County Board of Supervisors planned to drastically cut funding for the Samuels Public Library in response to conservative complaints about books with gay, lesbian, and trans characters. The governor of Iowa, Kim Reynolds, signed into law a bill which calls for books depicting sex acts to be removed from school libraries. Yes, so I imagine that the Bible is going to be making the cut as well, right? The Bible too? Some attacks have affected the Library Association itself. The ALA's opposition to bannings has led some communities to withdraw their membership, including Campbell County in Wyoming, a local library in Midland, Texas. Missouri officials announced the state would be leaving the ALA at a time when recent laws limit access for young people to books considered inappropriate for their age. I think the trend is going to continue, at least for as long as these groups want to go after whole categories of books. And they're going to continue to do so, and don't underestimate them, because this is not going to stop. Just because some of their challenges have failed does not mean that these people are going to stop, and they're not going away. In fact, the attacks have increased. These challenges have increased. Despite all their talk about free speech and whatever, they don't care. They don't want any of that. They don't want any open-mindedness. They don't want their worldview to be challenged. So they feel like this is one of the avenues that they have left, is to make sure that education is axed in as many ways as possible, and kids don't learn about how the world is, right? Which includes learning about gay people and trans people, learning about systemic racism, learning about the injustices that occur every day in this country. They don't want any of that because it challenges their ability to maintain this weird sanitized version of what they believe this country is, or what they believe this country is about. They have this weird sanitized version of their perceived country, and all of this kind of shatters it, right? This is not a Christian country, and it is not a theocratic nation. This is not a theocratic one religion rules this country. Sorry. Gay people exist. LGBTQ people exist. Trans people exist. Sorry. Sorry. Injustices. You know, I'm sorry that systemic racism it makes you uncomfortable, which if it does, then you should probably ask yourself, why? If it does make you uncomfortable to learn about the realities of this country, why? Kind of says a lot about you, right? It's kind of telling if that's like your internal and immediate reaction. It's a bit telling, right? Anyways, the point being is that this isn't going to stop. This is not going to stop. These people aren't going away. It is important to understand this, and it's important to understand what's at stake here as these people try to more and more get power by elections and other ways. So yeah, be vigilant and do what you need to do. Get involved in your local, in your county library. Anything that you are able to do, whatever tools that are accessible to you in terms of like organizing, or voting, or whatever it is that you are able to do. Spreading information, telling people, whatever it is that you have at your disposal. Because these people are sparing no expense. These people are trying, and they're trying hard, and they're not giving up. Fight the power, exactly. They are sneaky. And they're not going away. All right, folks, we made it. We made it, and it was a pretty smooth sailing. Folks, if you enjoy the content and you want to help support this channel, make sure you hit the follow button. And if you can't support this channel monetarily, please go on over to the YouTube channel. It really does help us out. Hit the big red subscribe button. Spread the word far and wide. We're here Monday to Thursday, 5 p.m. Eastern Time. Thank you so much, Heat. Thank you, Michael Hassler. Thank you all for hanging out in the chat. I appreciate it. Thank you, Sharpie Diesel. Yorkshire. Bipedal Meatbag. Alio. I think I got everybody. Gata Naranja. A-Bond, Fahim Husky Canvas, Snarky Lotus, thank you for the follow, I appreciate it. Derry Bennett, thank you. Thank you all for mixing it up in the chat. I appreciate it. You guys are what makes this channel grow. Yes, join the Discord, okay? Join the Discord. You get all kind of channel updates, and you can post cool pet pictures there, among other things. Just join the Discord. You get updates on what happens on the channel. Again, guys, thank you guys so much for the support. If you guys, again, enjoy the content, we'll be here tomorrow, 5 p.m. Eastern Time. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you, Michael Hesser. Thank you, Heat. As always, folks, please stay safe. Please take care of each other. Vion, I hope to see you guys in the next one tomorrow, 5 p.m. Eastern Time. See ya. See you, Zia Duke. Thank you. All right, folks, hang tight. We're heading out in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. See ya.